Hi, and welcome back to the Implementing and Administering Cisco Solutions, the CCNA 200-301 video series course by EC Council. My name is Glenn Singh. In this video, we will take a look at building and setting up your very own CCNA lab environment to practice your skills. So let's dive on in. As an upcoming IT professional or a network engineer, the main question is always asked, should you have a physical lab or a virtual lab? So in the next slide, we'll be discussing the needs for a physical lab. We'll take a look at the pros and cons of both physical and virtual lab environments. For a physical lab, you'll definitely require some equipment. I highly recommend getting the Cisco, or at least getting at least about 2 or 3 Cisco 2911 routers. For switches, I highly recommend get at least 3 2960 switches. You will definitely need a layer 3 switch, either a Cisco 3560 or a Cisco 3650 switch you will need. Get your hands on at least one Cisco access point. You'll definitely need a Cisco wireless controller. I recommend the 2505 model. Some network cables, definitely a console cable, and an RS-232 to USB converter cable. Having a physical lab is all well and good. However, you are limited to the number of devices and components you have within your physical lab. Additionally, when you buy these equipment, such as the routers and switches, most likely you might get a used kit available on either some e-commerce website. And the downside of buying the used equipment is you may not be able to update the operating system on these devices. So if you have an older switch, the operating system may be a bit outdated and may not support the newer features that you require for the new certification and the certifications ahead. Furthermore, it costs a lot of money to buy and ship these equipment. The other thing is these equipment require physical space. Sometimes you may not have physical spaces. So those are some of the disadvantages of having a physical lab. However, the benefit is you get a real-world hands-on experience with it. As in, you actually see how long it takes for traffic to move across from one device to another device. And there's no better feeling of working with physical equipment. These two components, the console cable and the RS-232 USB cable, let's take a look at what these cables are and why do we need them. So let's head over to Amazon. Now let us search for console cables. Whenever you purchase a new Cisco router or a switch, you will get one of these blue cables within the box. These cables are used initially to configure the devices itself. One side of the cable, which is this end, connects to the console port of the switch or the router. The other end, whether it's USB or RS-232, connects to your end devices. However, it is recommended to use this newer cable simply because computers no longer has a RS-232 or a DV9 interface to use this older cable here. So I mentioned just now that this end connects to the switch itself. So there's a very special interface on the switch that requires this connection. And that interface is called the console port. Before we move on to take a look at what a console port is, let's assume that you have this older cable here with the RS-232 interface. How exactly are you bridging the connection? Well, you can get an RS-232 to USB converter cable. So let's take a look at what this looks like on Amazon. So it's this cable here, or this one. This end connects to the RS-232 interface on the console cable, bridging the connection between the console cable and your PC via this USB port. So this USB port connects to your computer itself. So now that we have an idea of the type of cables required, let's take a look at where exactly does the console cable connects to on a Cisco switch or on a Cisco router. So here we are on Google Images and we just search for Cisco port or console port Cisco. The console port is either the back or the front of the device. In some devices, you can see the console port clearly labeled here, and there's a light blue line that is surrounding the port, and there's always the word console. If the port is at the back, you can see it is labeled right here, console. So therefore, the console cable connects to the console port. And the console cable is required to do initial device provisioning, because without this cable, you will not be able to actually configure the device initially once it is out of the box. Having a virtual lab saves you a lot of money, space, and resources. With a virtual lab, you can install it on your laptop, and anywhere you carry your laptop, your lab goes with you. Additionally, you can install a virtual lab or create a virtual lab on a centralized computer at home or even on the cloud. Therefore, you'll be able to access it at anywhere you are. There are various types of virtual lab environments, or what we call network simulators and network emulators. One well-known type of network emulator is called GNS3. GNS3 is actually a networking hypervisor. It allows you to install the real operating system of various vendor devices such as the Cisco IOS V and even the ASA V on GNS3, and it will actually virtualize the hardware resources required to run those operating systems, which is pretty cool actually. Cisco has made their Cisco Modeling Labs 2, or which is known as CML2. CML2 is an annual subscription-based service, but with CML2, you would be getting all the images that Cisco, well, all the virtual images that Cisco have, and support from Cisco. However, with CML2, you can lab up everything from CCNA to CCNP to even CCIE. The only limitations of using an emulation software such as GNS3 or CML2, you will need a really good CPU. I would recommend a quad-core processor. You will need a lot of RAM and storage space. However, for all the exercises in this video series, we'll be using the Cisco Packet Tracer. Cisco Packet Tracer is a free network simulator software created by Cisco for the Cisco Networking Academy, and it is also free for anyone who wants to use it to learn CCNA. The only limitation of using Cisco Packet Tracer is the functionality within it is only as good for CCNA. If you want to go on to the other Cisco certifications such as CCNP, Enterprise, CCNP Security, or even at a CCIE level, then it is recommended to use GNS3 or CML2. So now let us take a look to see where can we get an authorized copy of Cisco Packet Tracer. Now that we're on Google, let us search for Cisco Networking Academy, simply by typing netacad and hit enter. The URL is www.netacad.com, so let us click on it. Once you're on the netacad.com website, click on Courses. Then click on Packet Tracer. Scroll down, click on Intro to Packet Tracer, and this is a free course from Cisco Networking Academy that will teach you how to use all the features of Cisco Packet Tracer for desktop. Now that we have clicked on Introduction to Cisco Packet Tracer, click on Sign Up and Enroll for the course. You will definitely need to enroll for this free course to simply be able to access or gain a copy of Cisco Packet Tracer from the Cisco Networking Academy. Once you have registered for the course, ensure that you have logged in the Logged In portal. Once you are logged in, you will see the course that you have enrolled for. I highly recommend to complete all the exercises throughout this course, as it will teach you all the advanced features of using Cisco Packet Tracer. However, to download Cisco Packet Tracer, click on Resources and click on Download Cisco Packet Tracer. Simply scroll down and here you'll see you have different versions of Cisco Packet Tracer for your operating system. Simply install the version for your operating system, whether it's for Windows, Linux, or even Mac. If you're on Windows, choose either the 64-bit or the 32-bit. So simply click on either of these, download and install. Once you have installed the application, simply open it. And here we have the interface of Cisco Packet Tracer. To get a better idea of how to use this software to simulate our Cisco networks and Cisco devices, let's take a look at down here. This first row are category of different devices. We can see the first category is network devices. The second category, end devices, and so on. Simply by clicking a category, there will be subcategories open. So on the network devices, we have routers. And once we click on routers, we can see a series of different routers available for us. If we click on switches, we can see a number of different switches available. We could click on security, we have security devices. If we click on the category of end devices, we have different subcategories, and within each subcategory, there are different end devices available for us. For cabling, we can click the connections category. And here, we have different types of cable available. Simply by either clicking or hovering over a cable, you will see the name of the cable appearing. So for example, this blue cable is a Cisco console cable. This straight cable is a copper straight through, while this dotted sort of cable is a copper crossover cable. So to get started, let us put a router, a switch, and a PC and make a very basic connection. So let us click back on network devices, click on routers, next we can select a 2911 router, which is this one here. Simply click on it and click Anywhere in Cisco Packet Tracer. Now we place our router. Let us add a switch. Let's click on switches, and we'll be using the 2960 switches. We will definitely need a computer as well. Let us click on End Devices and click on the PC and drag it here. Or we can simply click on the PC and click on the interface. So now we have 3 devices. To connect these devices together, let us click on the connections And let us use a straight through cable since each of these devices are different. Click on the straight through cable. Let us click on the PC and we will see a number of ports available to us. Let us click on Fast Ethernet 0. And now we can drag the cable to another device. We can click on the switch and we have multiple ports open. We can click on Fast Ethernet 0/1 to connect the cable. Let us connect the switch now to the router. Click on the straight through cable once more. Click on the switch, and this time let us use the Gigabit Ethernet 0/1 interface. Click on the router. Let us use the Gigabit Ethernet 0/1 interface as well. So now we have a wired connection, as in a wired Ethernet connection between our PC to our switch, from our switch to our router. However, remember that we need to use a console cable to initially configure these devices. So let us connect the console cable from the PC to the router in this first instance. But before we do so, let's take a look at how we can let Packet Tracer show us the interfaces that we are currently using. To do this, we can click on Edit. We can click on Options, Preferences, and we can simply check this box right here, which is always show port labels in logical workspace. So now that we have a clear idea of what interfaces are being used, let us now connect our console cable. Click on the console cable. Now click on the PC. And we are going to click on the RS-232 interface. Now let us click on the router. And we can click on the console port of the router. Now that we have established a console connection, let us actually access the interface of the operating system on the Cisco router. To do this, click on the PC. Click on Desktop. Now let us click on Terminal. These values are very important to use when you're actually making a real connection to a real Cisco operating system. Ensure the bits per second is 9600 or 9600. The data bit is 8. The parity is none. The stop bit is 1 and flow control is none. Let's click on OK. And let us scroll down a bit here. Now we're actually within the Cisco IOS, which is the operating system of the router. Whenever you get this message, always type no and press enter. And here we have access to the Cisco IOS, which is the operating system on Cisco switches and routers. In a later video, we'll be using Cisco Packet Tracer a lot to actually configure and build our Cisco networks. So for now, we'll be stopping right here with Cisco Packet Tracer. I highly recommend that you complete a free Cisco Packet Tracer course on Net Academy after watching this video. During the course of this video, you have learned the benefits about using a physical lab versus a virtual lab. Additionally, you have seen how to deploy a network simulator software that will save you a lot of money and resources, but at the same time, you'll be able to learn and even advance your skills in learning CCNA. In the next video, you will learn about the roles, functions of various network devices and components. I hope this video has been informative for you, and I hope to see you in the next one.